Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz was born July 1st, 1646 in Leipzig, Germany, to a pious Lutheran family around the end of the 30 Years' War. His father died in 1652 when he was only 6 years old, and although little Gottfried went to the Nicolai school, it was in his late father's library that he mainly taught and exposed himself to many concepts, including Latin, his preferred means of publication. He entered the University of Leipzig as a law student at the age of 15, where he was exposed to all kinds of philosophical ideas that his father's collection could not provide. His philosophies and writings were focused highly on reconciling modern thinkers like Galileo, Bacon, and Descartes' ideas with those of Aristotle and the Scholastics. He also wrote many pieces on defining the value of an individual. In 1666, he immediately received his degree of Doctor of Law at Altdorf upon his dissertation De Casibus Perplexus, which means on perplexing cases. From then on, he was to be a jack of all trades to various royal families for the rest of his life. He was the only one of the philosophers at his time who had to earn a living. In between jobs and trying to support himself financially, Leibniz constructed a calculating machine and presented it to the Royal Society on his first visit to London in 1673. 2 years later, he laid the foundations for both differential and integral calculus, independent of Sir Isaac Newton's discovery. However, the accusations of stealing Newton's, who was socially in much higher standing with Leibniz, ideas plagued him for the rest of his life. Although Newton is still referred to as the father of calculus, in-depth scrutinization of both men's work proves that Leibniz came up with calculus on his own. This is based primarily on the significant difference in the notation that Leibniz used to derive his ideas, such as the dot often used to denote multiplication. He also contradicted Descartes and held that visible movement was the resultant of a force, thus founding a new formulation called dynamics. His studies continued to advance and were increasingly anti-Cartesian. He made many other contributions to science besides butting heads with other philosophers. In 1679, he perfected the binary system of numeration and proposed a different type of math that he called analysis situs, which we refer to as general topology. He also perfected many mechanical devices, including hydraulic presses, windmills, lamps, submarines, clocks, and carriages. Then he invented a water pump, powered by windmills, that exploited mining in the Harz Mountains, which he engineered for 5 years. As a result, he is also a creator of geology because of the observations he made there. He then became a historian to the House of Brunswick, but he did not limit himself to royal genealogy. Instead, he expanded his goal to the history of the earth, including studies of geological events and fossils, origins of people, and the progress of civilization. Throughout all of his studies and findings, he stuck to his religious roots and used his theories to support his religion in his book De Rerum Originationis, which means On the Ultimate Origin of Things, which discusses how everything essentially comes from God. He traveled all over Europe throughout his life, but towards the end, he suffered horribly from gout and became bedridden until his death on November 14, 1716, at the age of 70 years in Hanover.